everyone, welcome back to Coding from Null. In this video, we're going to be talking all about React prop types, what they are and why they're useful. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so before we get started, the first thing I want to cover is what exactly prop types are and why they're useful for us. Now, in React alone, there is no standard type checking. So you can end up with some bugs with not a lot of insight into where that bug is coming from or what is happening. On our application, we don't have a whole lot. We only have like a parent component, and then we have some children. It's not really super complex, but as the applications get more complex, type checking can be very useful for finding bugs, and it can also be really useful if you're collaborating on an application together to know exactly what props and the types of those props that certain components are expecting to behave correctly. So let's first look at our title component here, and we are passing in a string that says coming soon. Now, what if we were to instead pass it a Boolean of true? Go ahead and give that a save. And we'll notice that we're starting to get some weird bug going on here, right? Because it was expecting a string and it got a Boolean. But if we open up our DevTools in Chrome here, and we look at our console, we see there's no information about what actually is occurring right now. Now, for us, we know what's going on, but like I said, in a more complex application, this may not be immediately visible to you. For instance, if there's props are getting passed from child to child to child, it definitely may be a lot more complicated to track down where that bug is coming from. So how we do that is we use this package called PropTypes that allows us to set what the types are for the props that the component is expecting to behave correctly. And if it doesn't receive those, we'll get a nice little error message in the console telling us that this component was expecting this type and instead was passed this type, which makes finding these sorts of bugs a lot easier and a lot more straightforward. So the first thing that we want to do is install the PropTypes package. So go ahead and open up a new terminal here, and we'll say npm install PropTypes --save, and let that run for a little bit and install that package for us. Okay, so now let's go ahead and let's start out by going into the title component. It's a real simple component that we have. Let's go ahead and import that package. We'll import P PropTypes from that PropTypes package. Now, this is where it gets a little bit confusing. I really don't like how this is done, but it's just kind of something that we have to deal with. There's going to be a difference in the way prop types are specified in this naming convention here, so P prop types is how we access the prop types, this package here, and then we'll have a lowercase p prop types and how we set the prop types on the specific component. So real quick, let's go ahead and clean this up here. I'd like to export my components at the bottom of the file. We'll say export default title. And in fact, because this is now a named export, not a named export, we'll have to come in here and just take the brackets off of here so this doesn't fail, which we'll cover more in depth in that as we move along. But here we have our component, and how we set the prop types on it is we will say title.prop types, notice the lowercase p, and then we pass it an object. Now for ours, we only have this one prop, so we will say text, and then we set the prop type that we want to have. And how we do that is we access that package with capital P prop types, and then dot, and then we see that we have all these sorts of types that we can set. And we'll cover a bit of these as we go along through this video. It could be an array, it could be an array of a specific thing. We can even shape the array that it expects this exact set of parameters of the object, or not parameters, properties of an object, say for instance, which we'll kind of cover. It could be a Boolean. What we want is a string. It's just a string. And then we can also set it that it is required. This is good just because if you have some props that may not be necessarily required for the component to render and others that are, in our case, we definitely need a text to render this h1 tag. Otherwise, it's going to be an empty h1 tag, and it's pretty much useless at that point. So let's go ahead and give this a save now. And let's go ahead and go back. So now we're seeing this nice warning here. Failed prop type, invalid prop, text of type Boolean supplied to title. So if we come back here and we're passing that Boolean still, and now we're getting this nice little error that says, hey, we were expecting a string, you passed a Boolean. And now this is the power of prop types and how we can catch these sort of weird bugs by making sure that the correct types are passed to our components. Now let's go ahead and just type in the string that we had before. Go ahead and give it a save. And now we're all good. This is just the old error. If you go ahead and just clear the console and we change this again, we'll see there's no error because we are passing the string that it is expecting for that component. Now, a lot of these are going to be the same, or just like our description is going to be a string. Subscribe is going to be strings. What we're going to see is when we get difference in, like, this one is a Boolean, or this links is actually an array, and we're going to specify what that array is supposed to look like when we do the prop types for the links. So let's go ahead and we'll just start. We'll do the description because the description is basically exactly like the title. So let's go ahead and go in description.js. I'm going to do the same thing with this. I just like to have this for consistency's sake, and this will actually become a bit clearer when we move along and start talking about hooks and functional components and all that in a later video. But let's go ahead and just export default description, and again come back into coming soon and take these off because this is a... In fact, let's go ahead and just take all these off since these really shouldn't be named exports. Okay, now let's go ahead and go into description. And again, we want to import that package. So import prop types from prop types. And then down here, we'll set the prop types. So we'll say description dot, remember, lowercase p prop types is equal to, and in this one, this is actually a really good one here because we are passing the prop types from one child component and then drilling them down into the notification component down here. So what we want to do is we need to type check all these for both the description and then also down here in the notification as well. So let's go ahead and we've got our text, we've got our source, we've got our alt, we have our message, we have our visible, and pull this over real quick. And we also have a level here as well. Okay, now let's go ahead and, so we know that the text, the source, the alt, the message, and the level are all strings. So we will just say PropTypes dot string dot is required, and then the visible is going to be a boolean. So PropTypes dot bool dot is required. So now we have these. So let's go ahead and go into the notification. We can actually, because really the text is the only one that is needed for the description, and these are all being passed just to then be passed along again to the notification. So we can go ahead and just copy all of these. Let's go ahead and open up our notification component. And let's go ahead and down here we will say notification dot PropTypes is equal to, and then these are all the same prop types that we are passing to the description component that then get passed down here, the source of the image, the alt of the image, the level of the notification, and then the message of the notification itself. Now, the next one that we want to look at is, let's come back here into our coming soon. So we've done our title, our description, we've done the notification. Let's go ahead and do the subscribe next. That one's a fairly easy one to knock off the list. We'll say subscribe.js. And here, what we are passing, if we look at our coming soon here, we are just passing a string for the placeholder and a string for the button text. And we are also passing some functions here as well. So if we look at coming soon, so these are being held in state, but we're also passing some functions as well. We're passing this configure notification, the show notification, and the change logo speed. All of these three functions. So in the prop types library, we have a type for a function, which will help us with these prop types as well. So let's come back into here and come back down here, and we'll say subscribe. Oops. Did we import? We didn't import prop types in this one either. We'll go ahead and import prop types from prop types. And where were we at? Subscribe. Let's go ahead and import that package into here as well. Import prop types from form from prop types. And then come down here, subscribe dot lowercase p prop types is equal to. And so which ones did we have again? We had a placeholder and the button text, which were both strings. So we'll just say placeholder, button text. And these are both prop types dot string dot is required. And then we have functions. We're passing this configure notification, show notification, change logo speed. They're all functions. So configure notification, change logo speed and show notification. And these are all prop types dot, and we see we have this func, which is a function, and these are required. So we've seen a few types now. We've done strings, we've done functions, we've done booleans. Let's come back in here. So we've done, let's see, we've done the subscribe, the description, the notification, and the title. Let's go ahead and do the countdown and the logo. So the countdown and the logo both have just strings. So this has 3, this alt source and spin speed, and then this has the future date. So these ones are real super easy. We'll just go ahead and open, let's go to countdown.js. And as with all of them, we want to import prop types from prop types. Come down here, we'll say countdown dot lowercase p prop types, prop types is equal to, and we have just a future date, right? That's the only thing that we're passing here, and that's a string. So we'll say future date is equal to prop types dot string dot is required. Okay. And the next one that we will do is the logo. So let's go ahead and open up logo.js, and we will import prop types from prop types. Again, I'll do this as a default export. We'll say export default logo, and logo dot prop types is equal to, and we have 3 here. We have our source, we have the alt, and we have the spin speed, and these are all strings. So we can just say prop types dot string dot is required. And cool, you're looking good on that one. Now let's go ahead, and I think we are down to the last one. Let's see here. So we've done the countdown, we've done the logo, title, description, we've done the notification, we've done the subscribe. So the last one here is the links. And this is a cool one because what we're going to do is actually shape the object that's coming through, as well as describe the array. So let's go ahead and open up the links.js. And let's do the same thing here. And oops, let's go ahead and import prop types before I forget about that again. Prop types from prop types, and then here we will export default links, and we will set links dot prop types is equal to, and we say the links is prop types dot array of and then we'll say PropTypes dot shape. And we can shape what the object is in the array. So in the array, we are expecting objects that they have a text, a logo, and a URL. So we'll say text, logo, URL, and all of these going to be PropTypes.string.is required. And we can also tack on a .is required for the array itself. So we're saying the array is required, and for each object in the array, we need a logo, text, and a URL to go along with them. So let's go ahead and give this a save. And now let's look at our application again. Now, we're seeing something really nice here. We don't have any errors in the console, which is exactly what we want to see. But let's go ahead and let's go ahead and, there we go. This here, stretch that out a bit. Let's go ahead and pass some things that we know aren't what we should be passing, right? So let's go ahead and we'll say for this one, we will pass a Boolean false. Go ahead and give it a save. And we're seeing exactly what we want to see, that our prop type is failing. Invalid prop, and it even is telling us the index of the array that it's failing at, the text of type Boolean supplied to links, expected string, and links. And this part here is really nice because the reason that it knows that it is the dot text of everything is because we specified the shape of that object that we're passing for each item in that array, which is really nice to have. So if you're passing a specific properties that you're wanting to expect in a array, it's good to use that shape method to then shape exactly what that object is supposed to look like. We'll go ahead and change this back to watch, give it a save, and see our prop type's not failing anymore. So I think that is about it for the prop types. I think we covered all of them. We've got the notification there. Yeah, I think we covered them all here. So I hope you learned a lot in this one. This is really good for just making sure that your application is behaving the way that you expect and making sure that you don't have some weird bug that your component isn't rendering properly and you're having a hard time figuring out why. And this can help by specifying those types that the component is expecting. So thanks for stopping by this week. I hope you learned a lot, and I will see you all again next week.